trodden ways, beside the springs of death, a maid whom there was none to praise and very few to love, a violet by a mossy stone, half hidden from the eye, fair as a star when only one is shining in the sky.
This is the story of Wordsworth, my brother and my best friend. He was known to the rest of the world as the man who wrote the Lucy poems. After his death, his final poem was completed by his wife, Mary.
She lived unknown, and few could know, when Lucy ceased to be. But she is in her grave, and oh, the difference. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. No one knows if Lucy was an actual person. Wordsworth himself gave no indication in his notes and letters, and was very closed-mouthed on the subject. Many seem to think that Lucy is his muse, but what does it mean when one is told repeatedly that
Let's see what's on the news today. Dead body, dead body. Wordsworth. Famous British poet found dead. Well, that's my Wordsworth. I probably should tell Caroline. I'll need to wait when she gets home. I wonder what she'll say when she finds out who her dad is.
As much as my brother loved Mary, there was another woman. Her name was Annette, and she lived in France. They had a daughter. Her name was Caroline. Annette loved Wordsworth and his poems.
Slumber did my spirit seal. I had no human fears. She seemed a thing that could not feel. I wonder if I'm this Lucy he's always talking about. I mean, I was the love of his life. I had his only surviving child. Of course I'm Lucy.
A slumber did my spirit seal. This poem illustrates the way in which a poem can generate multiple readings. It first reflects on the death of Lucy, an unknown girl. In the first case, the poem accepts the death and is not fearful for the girl and is comforted by the ideas that she is beyond the touch of time. In this reading, the second stanza is far from bitter, and the poet understands that dead return to the natural world. In many ways, this reading would be keeping with the Romantic's understanding of the importance of nature.
Oh, hey, Mom. We need to talk. Oh, what? So, you know how we never really talked about your father? Yeah, but I don't know, I don't really care anymore. Well, I was reading the news today, and your father's dead.
Caroline was just like her father, full of life, love, and curiosity. It's no wonder she began trying to learn everything she could about him. She read his poems, trying to find anything that said he cared about her too.
My dad wrote a lot of poems. I sure didn't get that skill. Look at this one. Strange fits of passion have I known. Strange fits of passion have I known, and I will dare to tell. But in the lover's ear alone, what once to me befell. When she I loved looked every day, fresh as a rose in June, I to her cottage bent my way beneath an evening moon. Upon the moon I fixed my eye, all over the wide lake. With quickening pace my horse drew nigh, those paths so dear to me. And now we reach the orchard plot, and as we climb the hill, the sinking moon to Lucy's cot nearer still. In one of those sweet dreams I slept, kind nature's gentlest boon, and all the while my eyes I kept on the descending moon. My horse moved on, hoof after hoof, he raced and never stopped, when down behind the cottage roof, at once, the bright moon dropped. What fond and wayward thoughts will slide into a lover's head? Oh, mercy, to myself I cried, if Lucy should be dead. Man, considering the biography I just read, I think I'm Lucy.
In the poem, Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known, Wordsworth talks about his lover Lucy and how he imagines her death. In the beginning, he is as if not very sure about telling the readers this incident. As he says, I will dare to tell, but in the lover's ear alone, as if to say that only a lover or a person in his position will be able to understand his strange fits of passion and sympathize with him. He describes Lucy as a rose fresh in June, which indicates the transiency of beauty, as a fresh rose is short-lived. He as if tells us a story. He is traveling on horseback over grass meadows and orchards, to Lucy's house, which is a cottage on a hill. He describes the movement of the horse as it paces hoof after hoof, and while traveling he keeps his eyes on the moon. The moon's significance is that of romance, perhaps of a somewhat magical beauty. As his horse moves on, the level of the moon sinks. When he reaches close to the cottage, the mood of the poem changes, and in a very scared and fearful tone he says, "Oh mercy, if Lucy should be dead." He imagines the death of Lucy. He has realized that his love cannot live forever, and he will have to part from her one day or the other. This signifies the transiency of love and the fact that love is not immortal. In a very romantic and beautiful way, Wordsworth has captured the transiency of love.
Although each of these women have every right to believe that they are Lucy, none of that will ever matter to me. For there was another poem he wrote, one about me. This is the way I will remember him. I will remember the moments that just the two of us shared.
Lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey, on revisiting the banks of the Wye during a tour, July 13, 1798. 5 years have passed, 5 summers with the length of 5 long winters, and again I hear these waters rolling from their mountain springs with a soft inland murmur. Once again do I behold these steep and lofty cliffs that on a wild secluded scene impress thoughts of more deep seclusion, and connect the landscape with the quiet of the sky. The day has come when I again repose here, under the dark sycamore, and view these plots of cottage ground. These orchard tufts, season with their unripe fruits, are clad in one green hue, and lose themselves amid groves and corpses. Once again I see these hedgerows, hardly hedgerows, little lines of sportive wood run wild, these pastoral farms, green to the very door, and wreaths of smoke sent up in silence from among the trees, with some uncertain notice, as might seem of vagrant dwellers in the houseless woods, or of some hermit's cave, where by its fire the hermit sits alone. Why should I care? At first glance, Tintern Abbey might seem to have no possible relation to your life. It's about a guy reminiscing about a walk he took with his sister 5 years before. Well, not entirely. That's the excuse for writing, but it's not what the poem is about. Tintern Abbey is about the ways that we change over time, and the ways that we try to figure out just when and how and why we've changed. In short, it's about trying to square the person you used to be with the person you've become. So, if you've ever stopped and asked yourself when you became the person you are, or wondered how or why your memories don't measure up with the facts, this is a poem for you. And now it's time for tasty tidbits of information.
Wordsworth was a famous British poet.
Wordsworth really got the ball rolling on the British Romantic period.
During this time, they were about nature, beauty, and truth.
Wordsworth had an affair with a French woman named Annette Vallon, while in France they had a daughter named Caroline. During the French Revolution, he fled for his safety back to England. 10 years later, he returned to France and worked out a financial agreement with Annette.
Wordsworth was married to Mary, his childhood friend. Together, they had 5 children. However, 2 of them died in 1812.
After Wordsworth died in 1850, his wife completed his final poem, never knowing about Annette or Caroline.
I couldn't stay attached to you, 'cause in the end I knew that someday I would have to say goodbye. But even though I'm finally at the end, I know I'll do it all again, but I may never find out why.